Good evening. I'm Megan Small, president of the Minnesota chapter of the Fulbright Association. Welcome to our musical offering. Tonight we are celebrating the 75th anniversary of Fulbright, the premier international educational and cultural exchange program. Senator J. William Fulbright conceived of the program following World War II as a means of promoting international goodwill. In this highly selective program, recipients undertake projects that build mutual understanding and a more peaceful world. Today, Fulbright alumni represent every field and over 165 countries as global change leaders. Minnesota is home to over 200 Fulbright alumni, and we serve as the host to around 50 international grantees each year. The scholars featured in tonight's program are those who received a Fulbright in the field of music, including myself. I can attest that studying music in another country not only changes the way we perform and teach, but profoundly shapes our lives. The Fulbright program is more than a means of funding research. It's an opportunity for public service and personal growth, and a wellspring for lifelong friendships. There are 7 musical offerings this evening, including performances, scholarship, and original compositions. Each of the scholars will be sharing a bit about their Fulbright experience and how it shapes their work today in Minnesota. We hope that these selections inform and inspire and give you a glimpse of what we each received from the Fulbright program. Enjoy!
I'm Dean Billmeyer, professor of organ and harpsichord at the University of Minnesota in Minneapolis. I studied in Vienna, Austria in 1979 and 1980 under a Fulbright Hayes full grant at the Hochschule für Musik und Darstellende Kunst. My primary study was organ with Professor Michael Radulescu, who has a reputation not only as an organist, but also as a composer and conductor and scholar of J.S. Bach. Even as a young person, I knew that the Fulbright experience would change me. It certainly did in many interesting and profound ways. I established a number of relationships with students and other people in Vienna, many of which are still active today. And my contact with Professor Radulescu changed profoundly the way that I approach organ music and think about my chosen instrument. The work I am going to share with you today is by Georg Muffat, a Baroque composer who is also one of Professor Radulescu's specializations. The performance was recorded live in Minneapolis at St. Olaf Catholic Church on April 21st of 2021.
In August 2014, I moved to Tallinn, Estonia, as a Fulbright scholar to teach electronic music at the Estonian Academy of Music and Theater. And one of the things that I learned in my time there is the deep and meaningful connection to the land that the Estonian people have. I was fortunate enough to be able to visit the Madametsa Raba, which is an Estonian bog, that fall. And I took a rather long hike through what I would describe as a fairy tale forest, which eventually led me to 11 kilometers of floating wood planks that allow visitors to walk across this immense bog. The bog itself, the result of thousands of years of decay, layer upon layer of peat built up a millimeter at a time. The Madametsa Raba is many meters thick, and therefore it represents millennia of history. It's stitched together and compacted by time, floating in a vast nature reserve. I was inspired by the idea of an immense surface that seems somehow empty, perhaps even simple, but when your eye is drawn to a detail, it leaps from the landscape. And once you begin to probe the surface, you discover a fantastically complex ecosystem above and below. I was inspired, in fact, to compose a composition that was commissioned by the Spitting Image Collective. And then later, I made a version of it that is specifically for the Estonian ensemble U, which we combined with a 360-degree immersive film of a day in the Madametsa Raba. This would have been filmed by Ryan Zobel and Maru VR, an Estonian virtual reality and immersive video company, in July. And so the film that you are watching and the music you are hearing is inspired by and a direct, immersive experience reflecting my experience visiting the Madametsa Raba, a landscape that captures and is constructed of the history of that land and the people who live there.
Hi, my name is Cléa Galhano. I'm originally from Brazil, and I got a Fulbright scholarship in 1985. I lived in Minnesota, in St. Paul, where I'm also a musician, I'm a recorder player, and I have been directing the St. Paul Conservatory of Music, a community music school, for 15 years. I also teach at McAllister College Early Music and the Jacob School of Music and Early Music Department in Indiana. I am very honored and humbled to have received the Fulbright in my life. I got the Fulbright scholarship in 1985, and it did change my life. So I flew first to Pittsburgh, first time in the United States, where I studied English to take my TOEFL exams. And then I in the fall of 2085, I went to Boston, and I did my master's degree at the New England Conservatory, one of the best schools in the country. At the New England Conservatory, I met my husband, who passed away already, unfortunately, John Robert Zimmerman, and he was doing his master's degree in saxophone, and he was from Minnesota. After I finished in 1988, I returned to Brazil, where I continued to teach in a college music, and I direct also a art school there. After 4 years, we returned to Minnesota, where John was doing his music education doctor program. And since then, in 1992, when I arrived here, I developed this amazing community, and I found these amazing, wonderful musicians, teachers, colleagues, and it changed my life. So I thank you, the Fulbright LASPAL, for giving me this opportunity and be here and be able to share the beauty of music with everybody because of this opportunity I had in life. I also have a funny story that I formed a Baroque group here. It's called Belladonna. And in 94, we're touring Brazil, and we performed in Brasilia, the capital of the country, where the Fulbright office is. So apparently in this hall where we are performing, above it there was the Fulbright office. So I went to talk with them, and they let me know that I was the last musician to be awarded this scholarship, because they no longer give musicians anymore, at least back then. So again, thank you. Let's celebrate the 70 years of this wonderful initiative by the Senator Fulbright to bring diversity to the world, to bring people to know each other with the differences, and making a better society, better world. Thank you and congratulations.
Hi, Minnesota chapter of fellow Fulbrighters. It's such a great pleasure to be invited to play this short performance for you all. The Fulbright was something that completely changed my life. I've been teaching at the University of Minnesota. I'm the flute professor here since 2001, and the year that I was accepted for this job as a one-year position, which eventually became tenure track, I was also accepted to have a Fulbright to go to Holland. And I don't have a doctorate. And all of my friends said, you should get into the university system now while you have this chance to get this university job and take the Fulbright later. And when I got here, And then I eventually got the tenure track job. Everybody said, you should take a year out from your job and go have that Fulbright. So I reapplied for the Fulbright to go back to Holland to study Baroque flute. That was my main dream. As a modern flute player, Juilliard-educated modern flute player, I had always loved the Baroque flute, but it was a little bit of something I did on my own, in private, not with my main teacher. And when I got here to Minnesota, there was this interesting connection with various wonderful Dutch musicians who were coming to Minneapolis all the time. And I was lucky enough to meet this wonderful Dutch Baroque flutist, Wilbert Hazelzit. And after a few lessons with him here in Minneapolis, I said, I want to come and apply for a Fulbright and study with you. So he said, sure. And I was accepted into his class for 1 year at the Royal Conservatory in The Hague. They have a sort of a professional program for people in mid-career who can come and they take lessons and they play chamber music and take classes in historical performance. And for me, that was great because I was totally immersed in this world, which I would not have had an opportunity to do if it weren't for the Fulbright. It was a chance for me to just completely study this instrument with one of the greatest Baroque flute players in the world, to play with other young people who were equally obsessed with early music. And of course, the experience of the Fulbright itself, just being abroad. That was the first year I had ever lived abroad. I had been abroad, but I had never actually had the experience of opening up a bank account in a foreign country, of trying to get a cell phone in a foreign country. I remember the day it was August, hot, believe it or not, in The Hague, and I'm trying to set up my cell phone, and everything was in Dutch, and I start dialing all these numbers, and all of a sudden somebody answers on the other end and says, hello, can I help you? I said, yes. I thought it was the cell phone company. I'm trying to set up my cell phone. They said, you've dialed the emergency police phone number. So it was great experiences like that that completely changed my life. It made me see how the whole world was completely different. Made me become obsessed with riding my bicycle again, because everywhere I went and living in The Hague, it was all about riding the bicycle. And then just when I came back to Minnesota, I got onto my bicycle again, which I hadn't been doing. But what was really great about the time there was that what it offered me to bring back, which is that when I had studied with Wilbert for the year, and I met other great artists and musicians there, I came back to the University of Minnesota, and the first thing that we did was I got my director to buy a fleet of 5 Baroque flutes so that I could immediately start to share what I had learned on my time in the Fulbright. And so that was another way that the experience completely changed my life. So I'm very grateful forever to have had this experience, and I thank you. And now for some Leclerc.
Greetings, I'm Lois Behrens, a member of the Twin Cities Catholic Chorale. In planning the current celebration featuring former Fulbrights in the musical field, your president, Megan Small, discovered the work of Monsignor Richard J. Schuler, former pastor of the Church of St. Agnes and editor of the journal Sacred Music. Monsignor Schuler spent a year in Rome as a Fulbright scholar. Here are some excerpts from his essay about the effect that his Fulbright had on him. 1954-55 was l'anno magnifico for me, a year of study and research at the Vatican Library and the University of Rome, a year with the music manuscripts of the 15th and 16th centuries, the treasures of the Sistine Choir, and other musical establishments in Italy. It was an experience beyond dreaming in those years following World War II, when once again Italy, the happy hunting ground for musicologists, was open to scholars. In life, certain events stand out and direct the future. For me, the Fulbright year was such an event. There is no doubt that the research I undertook in Roman libraries influenced my teaching at the College of St. Thomas and played an important role in my doctoral studies. But most significantly, I think, the establishment of the Twin Cities Catholic Chorale on my return from Italy can be cited because of my experience there. The reputation of the nationally broadcast chorale and its program of Viennese choral orchestral literature has traveled far beyond Minnesota. In 1986, the chorale made several professionally mastered CDs. We conclude this video by playing the Gloria from the St. Cecilia Mass by Charles Gounod, recorded by the chorale and a professional orchestra under the direction of Monsignor Schuler. This Mass is in the permanent repertoire of the chorale and a favorite of the chorale and the congregation. This chorale is not a concert choir, but rather its mission is to provide music as an integral part of the liturgy. The chorale is currently under the direction of Dr. Mark Jaros. The full chorale, currently in hiatus because of the pandemic, hopes to return next fall to the 10:30 Latin Mass at St. Agnes for our 48th year.
Thank you for joining us for the Minnesota Fulbright Musical Offering. Our Fulbright musicians continue to shape the musical culture of Minnesota and the world through their performance, instruction, and scholarship. A special thank you to those who assisted in the development of tonight's program: Daniel Riepel, Patrice Moulton, and Joseph McDonough. Our wonderful offerings were contributed by Dean Billmeyer, Kelley Harness, Scott L. Miller, Cléa Galhano, Basil Considine, Immanuel Davis, and on behalf of Monsignor Richard J. Schuler, Virginia Schubert, Lois Behrens, Mark Jaros, Christopher Foote, and the Twin Cities Catholic Chorale. You can connect with the Minnesota chapter of the Fulbright Association via Facebook, LinkedIn, and the Fulbrighter Network, in addition to our website, minnesota.fulbrightchapters.org. For more information about the Fulbright program, please visit fulbright.org, us.fulbrightonline.org, eca.state.gov/Fulbright, or cies.org. Thank you.